Welcome to the Shooting Show. This week we return to the last week of the rodeo season with stalking supremo David Virtue, plus Byron looks at an interesting range of knives and their hunting applications.
We're following David Virtue of DV Sporting this week. He's north of the border and has two Geordie lads out after rodeos. While Paul has stalked before, it's Carl's first time. DV takes his two clients to check zero on the ticker T3. With both shooters happy with the rifle and DV happy with their shooting, it's time to head out after the does. Carl is keen to get his first doe early on, so he and DV scour the land on foot, stopping regularly to glass the sparse fields and woodland edge for their quarry. Unfortunately, it's all quiet on the western front. They move back to the car and DV decides that they can cover more land spotting from the vehicle. With Carl ready on the rifle and DV spying, it's up to Paul to act as chauffeur. Late in the afternoon they reach a spot that DV believes might yield some deer. Parking up a distance away, the guys get ready for a long stalk in. The rookie shooter won't be able to blame his tools though. DV supplied him with a formidable setup, a ticker T3 topped with a Swarovski optic and fed with gecko ammo. Carl is following DV's lead and they're soon on to some roe. But it doesn't quite go to plan for Carl as something spooks the deer.
I think we'll go back. Yeah. Spooked. Gone. We'll drive back then, have a look up the top. You might see them out the other side, but I think they'll be right through.
They're back in the car and it's not long before DV locks onto another roe.
Just literally jumped the wall, so there'll be maybe 2 or 3 to come out there.
Just one on its own?
Yeah, just now, I bet by the time you get there, there's 2 or 3. If you drop, you could stalk for here, go down here, cross that next field in the dip, you go down the back of that wall and you get to that gate. I think you just do about shooting distance there, I think, there.
However, the plans are ruined before they can even leave their car, when the farmer drives down towards the deer and sends them skipping away. Back on foot, the guys quickly spot movement. Unfortunately, it's a running pheasant followed by a couple of joggers. It's unlikely any deer would settle here with all this disturbance, so another move is in order. The sun is setting as Carl and DV head out yet again. This time, hugging the hedgerows, they carefully work the field margins. It is slow but deliberate progress. They could just as easily be a doe at 20 yards as at 200. They crawl in behind a wall. It's a tense moment as they peek over, hoping to spot some roe. There are deer, but unfortunately it's a brace of bucks. But DV quickly spins round and puts eyes on a trio of roe further down the field. He sends driver Paul off to check them out from a different angle and texts back if there's a doe among them.
Just go down to where you can see into that long field and see if there's anything in there. Give us a text. They might have dropped down in there. Is it? Not good.
It is a doe and 2 youngsters, but DV calls the stalk off as the path to a shooting position is too open to reach without spooking the deer. It's time to call it a night. No doe for Carl, but that's how it goes sometimes.
You'd have never got down that way, and then you see that hedge would have been too exposed. Yeah. Plus the wind, those two, the wind of this. If they'd seen those two run.
Obviously this is the first time that you've been out stalking, but you're not new to shooting as such. Well, yes, this is the first time I've been out stalking. But my background is I tend to shoot a lot of rabbits for farmers who have problems within the Newcastle area.
He's more of an air rifle man, really.
Yeah, definitely. It's the first time I've ever shot a Tikka T3 today.
Now you're a bit unlucky on a couple of occasions last night and today, but you've enjoyed the experience.
Oh yeah, it's been absolutely fantastic. It's everything I've wanted to do, you know. So it's kind of it might sound a bit cheesy, but a dream come true, you know. It's something. Obviously, David's put one on top of the deer. We've just been unlucky.
It's a new day and it's Paul behind the rifle this time.
Yeah, I've done quite a bit of stalking the last couple of years, getting more and more into it now, but my background's mainly wildfowling, rough shooting, pigeon shooting, just whatever really. But yeah, the last couple of years I've been getting more and more into deer stalking.
It's turning into a textbook stalk with a doe spotted early doors.
I was up with the geese a few years back, and one of the lads that was up, he was out stalking, and I just followed them out, and ever since then I've always wanted to try it.
Paul makes it look easy, with a shot right through the top of the heart. It must be a little galling for Carl, but for Paul and DV, it's just another doe in the bag.
We went right away up across the field, and obviously the wind and that, we had to have the wind in my favour, so we had to cut back down, gone down the side of the hedgeway, and luckily enough when we come up to them, they were just moved right away up the bank. It was a safe enough shot, and it took a bit of time for them to turn properly, but they finally turned and we got a good shot at it.
We've quite a number of deer in this area here, so it's just a case of thinning them down before that gets planted this spring. So hopefully that'll keep them on their toes.
Now, last night we were a bit unfortunate on a couple of occasions. Can you just talk me through the night? What happened the first two roe deer that we spotted?
The farmer arrived up to check his fences, and that was the stalk scuppered really to start with. So that was plan A out the window.
And then we moved on to another place, an area in amongst the forest. Freshly sown field.
Nice sown field that had just been sown last back end in autumn, and there was roe coming onto it. We've seen quite a few roe coming onto it. Sat there 5 minutes, and then a team of joggers came around and scuppered that. So that was plan B out the window.
And then finally we went to your third location where you knew there were a lot of roe, and we saw some initially. Yeah,
we could see them across this ploughed field. They looked to be sitting down in this dip, and the wind was wrong for us, so we had to do a big long stalk round the whole field. Got round behind them, got stalked in, and it turned out to be two young bucks. So we just couldn't get a right look at them from the other side of the field, and when we got in to see, obviously they were back, so you leave them just now. But and that was it. So it was plan A, B and C.
And finally, in the sort of last clutches of light, we did manage to get close to a couple of does, but
it was just
didn't quite pull off.
No, I think we got actually too close on them, and then when we bumped them, they took off, and that was it. So.
But that's hunting, isn't it?
That's hunting. It was close, as I say, close, but no cigar.
But fortunately, this morning we've had some luck.
Yes, Paul got a nice doe there, and a good shot, good heart shot, good clean kill. It was spot on. Yeah,
Great.
Spot on. He'll be chuffed with that. He's shot some nice bucks with me in the past, and he's just about to, I think, apply for his 243. So
Great.
He'll be keen to do that. He's just getting some experience under his belt before he does that.
Instant death.
They gralloch and extract the deer and head back to the car. Carl's been well and truly bitten by the bug. He's been a true sportsman, and maybe next time he can bag a deer to open his own account.
David's way with the roe there. And now, the shooting show news.
This is the Shooting Show News. The British Shooting Show will take place over 3 days next year. The show moved to Stoneleigh for 2013 and saw its highest attendance figures yet. Organisers said visitor attendance was reaching a critical point, and a third day would improve conditions as well as increasing trading time. The show will take place on the 14th to the 16th of February 2014. The government will foot the bill for additional policing costs incurred by the pilot badger culls in Gloucestershire and Somerset. Officers will have to go beyond their normal duties, and staff will be drafted in from neighbouring forces to stave off the threat of disruption from antis. After the 6-week trial cull, police forces will invoice DEFRA with the bill. Keep up to date on the issue in Sporting Rifle. Connecticut is to implement some of the USA's strictest gun laws. The New England state, home of the National Shooting Sports Federation, will add more than 100 firearms to its assault rifle ban and establish a register of offenders. It joins California, New York, New Jersey and Massachusetts on the list of states with the tightest gun legislation. Basque has set up a new charity to fund its Green Shoots conservation programme. The Conservation Trust Marford Mill aims to provide access to new sources of funding for conservation work, the organisation says. Basque is bidding for public funding for Green Shoots projects, but to do so it needs to fund 10% of the project from an independent source. Therefore, a donation of £20 to the Conservation Trust could result in over £200 of funding for Basque's conservation plans. And finally, HMRC has relaxed tax reporting arrangements for some shoots until October. The new RTI programme began on Saturday and requires shoots to report full details of employees in real time. But companies with fewer than 50 employees that run payroll monthly, but pay staff more frequently, have 6 months to transfer to the new system. Beaters are also now classed as casual workers, meaning shoots have 7 days to report their details. More in the next issue of Modern Gamekeeping. That was the Shooting Show News.
I put the rifles aside today to have a look at knives. Now, I could go into a lot of detail about blade designs and also the types of steel that go into making knives. But what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at 5 knife packages which are on the market and see how they fulfill the application of hunting. The first one is the baby Bruciletto. Now this is the smallest knife that we'll be having a look at today. The first time I came across this was in South Africa, even though it's a Norwegian knife, when pretty much all of my professional hunting friends were carrying them. They're an excellent little knife that just doesn't get in the way. You almost didn't even notice that you're carrying it. They do a lot of caping out there, which is the main reason that they have them. It's nice and small and compact, so you can get into all those intricate places that you need to get to. It's got some very nice steel with it. It's got a Scandi grind. It's got a standard profile on it. It's not a drop point. It's not long enough for sticking a big beast, but you can complete a full gralloch with this absolutely no problem. The only downside behind it is the sheath. Although it's quite a nice little piece of leather, it doesn't really have a good fixing point. So it hangs like this on your belt, and I have lost 1 or 2 of these already with them just falling out. What I've started to do is actually put an elastic band around the top. There's a slight weakness in the knife, but a knife that I pretty much have on me all the time when I'm hunting. The second knife we're going to have a look at is a knife from Gerber. Now this is one of the Bear Grylls survival knives, or of that series. I don't put a lot of weight in celebrity endorsements, so we can pretty much ignore that. But in terms of the knife itself, it's a full tang design. It's got a drop point. It is very strong, it's very thick on the back. It's quite nice to grip, but it is small in the hand. It doesn't quite fill your whole palm, although where the raised piece is by your finger as a guard, it is actually quite comfortable. I wouldn't use this knife for hunting. I don't think that this really has a hunting application. If you have a look at the sheath, you will see with the paracord that's on it and the various slots around the sheath, it can be lashed onto backpacks or pretty much anything you want. One thing that is quite clever is that if you imagine this is on your belt and this is where the knife is, if you want to mount it upside down, you can take this clip out and turn it the other way around. I think this kind of knife is really an emergency knife. It's the kind of knife that you stick in your backpack so that it's a backup if you don't have your primary hunting knife. I wouldn't carry this as a day-to-day hunting knife. Next up we have a knife combo, again from Gerber. Now this is the Gerber Myth series, and what we have here is their field dressing kit, which is 2 knives in one. We have the bigger knife with the gut hook, which goes in the back, and their smaller knife, which piggybacks on the front. Now, although this is quite compact for 2 knives in one, it's a bit bulkier than I'd like to carry around hunting, certainly on my belt. I think if I was to have it, it would be destined for the row sack. But fortunately, Gerber also offer these individually. But the knives themselves are very well made. The handles in particular on the Myth series are excellent. You can see they've got a rubberized textured finish, they're swelled, they fit the hand very well, and they're incredibly comfortable too. It's a full tang design, you can see the steel coming out the end, and the blade, certainly on the bigger models, is hollow ground, so quite easy to sharpen. This particular model comes with a gut hook. I've never been a massive fan of a gut hook on a knife, but I have a lot of friends who swear by them. It certainly makes opening up a beast much easier. This knife for me is a little bit too big. I like something which is a little bit slimmer in the blade and a bit more compact as well. So if we turn our attention to the other knife that this comes with, we certainly get that. Like the big knife, it comes with a titanium nitride coating on it, which helps with corrosion. It's got exactly the same handle, it's just a little bit slimmer, but the blade is a lot thinner, much more flexible, and has a straight grind on it and just a marginal drop point. Now, to me, this is the kind of knife that I'd like to carry around hunting. It's very understated, doesn't really weigh anything. It's very strong because it's got the same full tang design, and you'll be able to do pretty much everything you need to do in your day-to-day hunting with this little knife. So I would say if you had to pick a knife from the Myth series, this would certainly be the one for me. We turn our attention to the sheath briefly before moving on. Gerber have done a really good job here. It's made from a solid synthetic material, so there's no possibility of the knife blade slipping through and stabbing you in the leg. It's also got the same rubberized textured finish as the handle, which is quite nice. And of course, because it's made of a synthetic material, like the knife, it can be completely sterilized, which is very important. In terms of fixings, you have multiple options. There's a friction fit, the same as we saw in the other Gerber, but this one is much better. It's very firm to push in, very firm to pull out. We also have a rubber collar which goes over the top of the knife handle, and of course with this over, you can't pull out the knife without breaking the rubber collar. And just for extra insurance, we also have a Velcro strap which goes around both of them. The last little party trick of the Gerber Myth series is that there's also an inbuilt sharpener in the sheath itself. Now, the sharpener works very well. It'll put a nice sharp edge on your knife, but it does take a lot of material off the blade. I'd say that this is an emergency sharpening device if your knife happens to get blunt in the field and you really need it. Now we get to the last of the knives that have a true hunting application. This is the Mora Companion. Now I've got two here because they come in a choice of colours. Obviously the knife with the orange ends and the bright orange sheath you're unlikely to lose if you put it down in the grass. Otherwise these knives are identical. Now, the Mora Companion is made in Sweden. It's got the same Scandi grind as we saw on the Brusaletto, which means that the blade is very strong. Unlike the Brusaletto, it's got a drop point and also a synthetic handle. This is important because you can't fully sterilize a wooden handle, whereas you can with the Mora. The handle is excellent. It's just the right size. It sticks out the bottom of your palm. It's swelled. It's got a rubberized finish on it, so it's nice and grippable. It's not a full tang design. If you were to cut this in half, you would see that the tang comes to about here. So in theory, it's not as strong as the Gerbers we've been looking at, but in reality, we're hunting. We're not chopping logs with it, so it's going to be absolutely ample for anything that we need it for. Now the last blade that we're going to have a look at is a little bit unusual. It's a machete made by Walther. And although it doesn't have any direct hunting application, it's still an incredibly useful tool and probably underutilized in this country. Certainly in the time that I've spent over in Africa, I've used them quite extensively. Now this particular machete is very nicely made. It's hollow ground, it's got a really nice weight to it, a nice shape, it's quite easy to wield. The handle itself is very nice, it's got extra grip on the bottom and on the top, where you're gripping nice and hard with your hand. It's also a good size. You want a nice size handle when you're wielding such a heavy and long tool. I think if more people had exposure to how machetes are used as a tool, they would probably find more use over here. even for simple tasks like removing some stray branches around a high seat, they can be incredibly useful and efficient to use. This machete is very well made in itself. The only thing that lets it down a little bit is the sheath, which isn't up to quite the same quality as the actual blade. Hopefully that's given you a reasonable run through of the small selection of knives on the market. Maybe at a later date we'll go into a little bit more detail and explain exactly what all the different steel types mean. For now, the decision's really up to you.
Well, that's it for this week. Thanks for watching. We're out every Monday, 7:30 PM UK time. This is The Shooting Show.